Everybody, whether you're the president of a company or the paper boy, everybody has the exact same amount of time. You and I both have 24 hours a day. No more, no less. The question is, what do you do with your time?
Welcome to Zbooks Successful Authors Podcast. And today I have with me a fellow Californian, a crime and mystery author. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty and coffee and crime in California with Anita Rodgers. Hi, Anita. How you doing?
Hi, Eric. I'm doing great. How are you?
Not bad. We are having a heat wave in Germany, but I'm sure that doesn't compare to California in July.
Well, it is pretty hot out here.
Wow.
I don't know how Germany usually is, but yeah, July is pretty much mean summer.
And you're broiling
territory.
in the valley?
Broiling in the valley, yeah. Yeah, regular T-bone out here.
I remember that
Right.
those days well when I used to live in Orange County. So, I'm enjoying the heat here in Germany, to say the least. So, tell us about your...
Okay.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah, tell us about your book, Coffee and Crime. It's a murder mystery. Who knew that buying a diner could be murder?
It's what you would classify as a cozy, I guess, although there's a little bit of cussing in there, which I guess is supposed to be against the rules. But it all centers around a character named Scotty Fitzgerald, who grew up in the foster system in California, and she's got one good friend, and her name is Zelda, and they're kind of inseparable. They're roommates. They work together, blah, blah. And for years, she's been working in this kind of hole-in-the-wall diner, and she's been saving, and she's about to buy this diner, and her business partner dies suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
So now she can't buy the diner because she's several thousands of dollars short.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the inciting incident that sets her off now on what am I going to do.
Yeah, you mentioned inciting incident. So tell us about your process. Did you outline? Are you an outliner?
I'm not an outliner, but I'm also not a pantser. I'm kind of somewhere in between.
Okay.
Stories for me always start with character. I get a character in my head. They start talking to me. Mm-hmm. I'll make notes, and it's just kind of is this process. And then I'll start thinking about, what kind of storyline and et cetera, et cetera. So I make notes. I guess that would be considered a loose outline. I'm not like a lot of authors who outline every single scene and they know exactly what's going to happen in each scene. I basically start writing when I know how it's going to end.
And how long have you been writing?
Probably since I could hold a pencil. I mean, it's something I've just always done.
So you see, you're like an advanced writer. You can get away with not outlining, huh?
I don't know if that's the case, but it's just something that's always been part of my DNA, I guess.
There's a very good interview with Brad Melzer and James Altucher. Are you familiar with Brad Melzer?
I don't know him, but I do know the name.
Yeah, he's like a 90-time New York Times bestselling author. And he said, I will not write a character until I know all about him and I know his why and what he wants in life. And so he starts with the characters, I guess, kind of like you. And so he's got, another bestseller out there. I think it's called Nola Runs or Nola's Game. I forgot. Very good. I'll have to send you a link to it. But I'm more interested in your process. Now, I also was reading your bio and your website, and you are a professional copywriter?
Yes, I make my living as a copywriter. Wow. Copywriter by day, author by night, right?
Cool. So I suppose that helps you.
It has its blessings and its drawbacks. because it's
what would the
different
drawbacks
parts
be?
of the brain.
Yeah.
It's different parts of the brain that you're using in copywriting than in fiction. Fiction is a different kind of create. Copywriting is stricter. There are more rules.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not necessarily writing something that you want to write about, of your own creation. You're writing essentially words that will persuade others to try someone's service or product. It's basically sales copy.
Yes.
So it is different, and it's a more it's like corporate versus mom and pop, I guess.
So
in the brain cell area.
Do you have a favorite formula? For example, the PAS and then the AIDA. What was that? Attention, interest, and then what was it? PAS. What was that? Problem, agitation, solution. Or you have like formulas like that?
I know what you're talking about. No, I don't use formulas. I am a bit unusual as a copywriter. I'm not one of those.
Okay. How long have you been copywriting?
I apply my fiction skills, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Probably, 10 years or more.
Nice. I was reading Oscar Wilde, and, when I was reading him, I recognized this formula, PAS, problem, agitation, solution. And I said, oh, man, he's probably the one that they all looked at and took it from him, because he was like, 150 years ago or more? And when you read some of his children's books, you're like, oh my God, that is the PAS formula straight out of the box. And it's amazing. I just like Oscar Wilde anyway,
Yes, he was quite a character, but I would venture to say that the godfather of copywriting is Eugene Schwartz.
Aha.
He wrote an enormous tome called On Advertising, which
what was it called? Sorry?
On Advertising.
Okay. Eugene Schwartz. I think I've heard of him.
I can actually, I'll send you an email with the, I think I always get the name a little bit wrong. In fact, it's so rare that if you were to go to Amazon and try and buy a copy, I think it's like, it might even be thousands of dollars. I know it's several hundred. Yeah. It's a very, very sought after book, and people have old copies that they have hung on to literally for decades. So,
it sounds familiar. Yeah. There's also this guy called Charles Schwab, but I'm mixing things up now. Eugene Schwartz. Yeah. Okay. Eugene Schwartz. Yeah. I'll send you the 411 on him. Okay. If you are interested. Definitely. He's a very fascinating guy. This guy, if you want to be a copywriter, you need to get your hands on his book and read it. Because every copywriting book or instructor course or advice all comes from this volume, I promise you. What do you think about... Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, it's all right. Have you heard of Gary Halber? Maybe. The Gary Halber letters. Yeah, he's another one of those big copywriting guys that is pretty big, a big gun. But he's got some free stuff online, and it's a really great free resource. I recommend that too. So I was looking at your book's description, and that's when I said, man, she's got a pretty good description. And then I went to your website and said, aha, she is a copywriter. But even though I saw something that I maybe would suggest could be improved, maybe you could try it. Okay. Because today, in today's world, everybody's attention spans are going down because of internet. And every time I hear it, it's like going down from 10 seconds. And now the new number is 8 seconds. I'm sure it'll be 5 seconds tomorrow. But so one thing I saw was that there's this one part that you could make it stand out, except perhaps murder. And I think my opinion is it should be taken out of the paragraph and just made to stand out like it's a single line, Okay. or, just break up the paragraphs a little bit more for my taste, because this is my opinion. I like to have a really strong hook. And I think you could maybe improve your hook. I mean, nothing else. I mean, everything. I thought, aha, you're a copywriter, But I think you could make your hook stand out better,
Yeah. Okay.
And I always talk about Brian Cohen's book, Sizzling Synopsis.
Yeah, I've done some of his webinars, and I have gone to his site.
Yeah, but if you want to kill two birds in one stone.
I can't find it.
Oh, you can't find it?
I buy so many books.
Yeah. Well, if you want to kill two birds in one stone, I was going to say Brian Meeks, Mastering Amazon Ads. He goes a lot into the copywriting too. As a matter of fact, he says that is like one of the most important parts. You can double your sales by getting the copyright in that Amazon description. So
right.
Yeah. And then you get a book about Amazon ads too. So Brian Meeks' book is also very good. And so I mean, I would do that. If that was my description, I would just make the one hook stand out more.
I think it's a good suggestion. I knew that. It's funny it's funny you would bring that up, because that hook, I had it in so many different places in that description. I kept moving it around, going, okay, wait, let me see. So, that's a good one. I think I'll make that change. I like that.
Well, if you want to spend some money, you could A/B test it with Facebook ads. I don't know if you've tried Facebook or Amazon ads. Have you dabbled in that yet?
I haven't done any paid ads. I'm, the standard starving artist. I just haven't had the budget. I made so many mistakes the first time out with the self-publishing. I spent so much money, and all the budget
Tell us about it.
I kind of threw into it, and I didn't do it in a smart way. I spent a lot of money on having the ebooks formatted, and on covers I didn't end up using, and just on and on and on and on and on. It's sort of like I should probably write a book, how to make every mistake in the book.
So what was your first ebook mistakes or book mistakes?
Just not, I think being fearful was most of it. I did a lot of reading. I read a lot of blogs. In fact, I chose arbitrarily a successful indie author, and I literally read his blog from blog 1 to the final blog because I wanted to see the evolution, and kind of try and absorb it into my cells, I guess.
And who was that?
Easiest way of putting it. Hugh Howey.
Yeah, Hugh Howey, of course. I got one of his books
every single blog the guy wrote up to the point that I published. And it helped me a lot. It actually took a lot of the fear away. But, it was one of those things where you just don't know until you actually get in there and start doing it. And I have friends now who are, a friend, actually, a good friend, recently published her first book, though she had done a freebie, and she's done a lot of groundwork and got a big social platform and everything, but she was a nervous wreck. And I was happy. She was a nervous wreck. I was happy to be there for her and say, look, it's okay, really, honestly.
So how did you
going through, everybody goes through. What you're feeling, everybody feels, It's that nervousness and that, you think the whole world is watching, and it really isn't.
So how did you overcome your fears?
Just practice, I guess, just reading more, just learning more. And also, I think my brain just got sodden with all the marketing advice. Do this, don't do that, don't do that, do this. And a lot of times it's very contrary to each other. It's like, well, what's the right thing? And I've tried things, some things worked, some didn't. A lot of the self-publishing industry moves so fast that even advice that worked gangbusters a year ago won't work now.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah.
It just moves so quick, and if somebody finds something that works, then everybody jumps on that bandwagon. And then the impact of whatever that strategy is just dissipates. It's almost like multi-level marketing, right? The guys at the entry make all the dough. And then as the pyramid gets, wider and wider at the bottom, there's less and less of that. So
I'm still a big fan. Yeah.
I decided that, and I'm a copywriter. So I decided that probably going with more tried and true marketing techniques was the smarter way to go, which would be like email marketing and making personal connections. And so I got rid of a lot of the stuff that was driving me nuts, and have been trying to concentrate on a few things that seem to work for me.
Yeah, you just mentioned like the big three: email marketing, word of mouth, like actually talking to people. I mean, I think that's the number one, right? Get if you can sell it.
The number one, referral, word of mouth.
Yeah, and email marketing. So you're doing that, and what else?
It's just social media. There's so many social media platforms too, but I found the one that I seem to be able to do well on. And I am exploring LinkedIn, which is something, it's kind of surprising me, actually.
Yeah.
Done some little preliminary sticking my toe in the water stuff. So that might actually be a good area of social media to work. And you don't see a lot of writers there the way you do on Twitter. Like Twitter's like that big bowling alley where everybody's yelling at the same time.
Yeah, you said it.
And you can't hear yourself think.
Yeah. Twitter's just a shouting contest. It's pretty crazy. I don't know.
It can be fun, but
I just got off
so Facebook mostly. I mean, anyway.
I just got off a podcast with Tyler Wagner, and he's a LinkedIn specialist, and maybe you could listen to that.
I saw that.
Yeah, he swears by LinkedIn, and so he's got three. He's got LinkedIn, Instagram, and I think Facebook, and cutting it down to three, and So, but one
I think
thing
that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I spread myself way too thin, so that totally resonates with me what you just said, because I'm finding out more and more and more and more with my children's book and my genre that the best way to sell more books is to make more books, more different books, and just add more books to your product palette. Because, you can't just use the standard stuff with children's books, like, hey, get this lead magnet for an email. Kids don't even have email, so.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But you can do cute bookmarks and, cool graphic games for them or something.
Yeah. But one thing I still recommend, even though it's trendy, but is Amazon ads. Because it's super easy way to learn pay-per-click advertising, because they're so forgiving. They move so slow. So for with Facebook ads, if you put like $100 budget, man, they'll blow it in a matter of minutes in Facebook.
Yeah.
But Amazon won't do that to you. Amazon, you can put $100. One time I did a test, I made $1,000 budget, and they still wouldn't. They wouldn't use it. And so you can really, it's such a slow-moving beast, you can really learn at your pace and not waste money. And then you have time to turn them off because they're so slow. So I really recommend them for beginners. And like last year, like you said, there's a new technique out, and then you get in, and then everybody jumps on it. But so I got in maybe a little early, and I shot a couple of my books up to #1 in category, like in psychoanalysis, which isn't a big category, but it isn't a small one either.
Right.
And it isn't a little tiny one either. But so they work like gangbusters. And now, of course, you get what's called audience exhaustion. And so you got to go searching elsewhere, and so.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
I am considering, when I have the budget to do paid ads, Amazon ads were the thing I was leaning toward. Facebook, about Facebook ads, aside from the fact that, it's kind of, I always hide them whenever they, sponsored posts and boost posts. I always hide them, and I thought, well, if I hide them, I'm not going to pay to run them because people are going to do the same thing, whereas on Amazon, you can't hide an ad. I mean, it's going to be there. And they are the king. I mean, love them or hate them, they are the king at merchandising, let's face it.
Yeah.
So, and also Dave Chesson, I'm doing a course of his very slowly on ads.
You got his
guy.
free course,
I take him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got his free course, and I was one of the betas on Kindle Rocket.
Nice.
So I have that as
KDP
well.
Rocket.
KDP
Rocket.
Did he change it to KDP? Yeah, I thought it was originally
yes. It's called.
We
KDP
had to change
Rocket.
it because of the copyright thing, right? You can't actually say Kindle.
Yeah, and by the way, right below the Tyler Wagner podcast on my blog is a post with KDP Rocket. I shot a book up to #1 again, but it was a free book in the free section, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But still, I mean, KDP Rocket got me a #1 badge again, so it was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Now you made me forget what I was going to say.
We were talking about promotion and
Amazon ads.
Paid ads.
I remember. Before Dave Chesson made his free course, I also made a course, and I was helping a gentleman in the UK, in Britain, a great guy called David Bird. He's 1 or 2 podcasts ago on my blog, Zbooks. And I was going to do his Amazon ads for him by remote control. And he had such a hard time to get the, what do you call it? In Amazon UK, it's not that easy to get an advertising account with them. You have to become a vendor and all.
Account. You have to become a seller,
and VAT. And he said, it's just too hard. I'm not going to go for it. So I said, okay, try BookBub ads. They're also supposed to be, and I'm just dabbling into that. But what I could offer you, though, is I could offer you my Amazon ads course for free. And then you can see, I'll get you a link for that. And then you can see how easy it is. And then you can critique it too. But the point is, Amazon ads, I really swear by them, especially for beginners in advertising, paid advertising, because they're so forgiving. Yeah. So I'll send you a link to that, and then see if it helps. And then if you really, really, really need help, we could try the remote control thing, where I set up your ads by remote control.
Wow.
But, yeah.
That has a certain appeal. Believe me, it's exhausting trying to do everything.
Well,
because
just
you
think
also
about
have to
it.
You can too, right?
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Just think about it and check out my free course there, and then we'll see.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, how about we get to the approved questions that we put on our sheet here? Let's see.
Oh, okay, sure.
So, who are your favorite writers?
Probably my very favoriteest writer, at least right now, is Michael Conley.
Michael Conley. So I'm not familiar with him. What did he write?
Well, the books of his that I adore are the Harry Bosch books. In fact, Amazon's been doing a series called Bosch, which are based on the books.
Sounds familiar.
The character is kind of dark and kind of curmudgeonly, and he actually kind of reminds me of my dad.
Okay.
But I love him because he's just very true to himself, and he's true to his purpose in life, which is catching the bad guys. And his motto is, everybody counts or nobody counts. And again, philosophy I can really get behind. So I really adore them. I really adore his books. And Conley is a damn good writer, and he just consistently turns out but, you know, A-plus fiction, crime fiction.
So what is it for you that makes a damned good writer?
It's somebody who, well, obviously, a lot of it is taste, you know. I mean, you might like, you know, goofy cartoon stories, and I would go, hardly. And so there's, obviously, that plays a large part of it. But he, I like the way he handles prose. He puts you in the setting. He's very good with that. His dialogue is really sharp. His characterizations are excellent. I mean, nobody blends into anybody else. You know, sometimes you can read books where you kind of go, well, wait a minute, who is this guy? Because they're not, they haven't been really brought enough to life to kind of stand apart from some of the others. And he doesn't go cliche, which I like also, which is easy to do in crime fiction, you know, the standard loner, grumpy, you know, PI guy or, you know, whatever. So he stays away from the tropes.
Okay.
For the most part, although he's true to the conventions of the genre. So, yeah.
And why did you choose this genre? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Oh, because, I don't know, maybe it's my dad's fault. You know, I first started reading paperbacks by stealing my dad's books.
Yeah.
And they were all Mickey Spillane and John McDonald and all those guys.
Okay.
You know? So I always liked mystery. And I've always been one of those, my mind, you know, I love crossword puzzles, and, you know, I've always loved mystery movies. Anything that will challenge me to figure something out. It's always appealed to me. So,
right. And do you ever get writer's block?
Not really. I mean, there are days where I was like, oh, I don't want to write, you know, and sometimes I do need to take a day off. Because I'm just burned out.
Okay.
But a lot of times it's just kind of, you know, resistance, and I don't know how to figure out a scene that I'm working on, or, you know, there's something not happening right in the book, so I'll be like, I don't know, maybe this book just sucks. But for the most part, no, not really.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, a lot of people do, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot do. That's true.
So how do you get reviews? I noticed you have a good amount of reviews on your books.
I think pretty much the same as everybody. You know, you give a lot of free books away, and you pray that they'll do a review. You beg, you plead, you, you know, just try and promote in ways that don't bug people, you know, but maybe you want to get them to read. Also, I found, and I don't want people to misunderstand, I'm not talking about swapping reviews, but I have found that since I have self-published, I try really hard to always do a review on whatever.
Yeah.
If I buy a product on Amazon, I try to review it. If I read a book, I try to review it. Even if it's not on Amazon, I'll review it on Goodreads, because I know the kind of energy and work that goes into something like that. And I know how hard it is to get reviews, you know. People, you know, plus reviewers are kind of under attack now. People are having their reviews pulled and, you know, being accused of some sort of nepotism, or I don't know. Yeah. It's so crazy out there that even people who like to review are a little gun shy about it.
Well,
but
you know that.
I had one tip. I did find one little site that actually is wonderful. It's called Voracious Readers Only.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Voracious Readers Only.
And definitely check out their site. I'd never heard of them. I happened to read a blog post about them, and honestly, I can't even remember who wrote it. Shame on me. But they're a great little site, very nice people. They have a thing where their membership, which is a few thousand, I don't think it's like Book Club or anything, and they will put in for books that they want to read, and they agree that they will, they're willing to give you their name for your mailing list, for able to read the book for free.
Cool.
And then they have the option of doing reviews. Well, and the limit is 20 books. You can only give away 20. It's not huge. But of the 20 that I gave on one of my books, I ended up getting I think 7 reviews and 8 ratings.
Oh,
which
wow.
is
Just
percentage-wise incredible.
So just from that one website?
Just from that one website. And it was from my first book, which is called False Witness. It was a standalone mystery.
Okay.
I just wanted to get a little more action going on that book. And I thought, well, I might as well try it. It was, I've given away hundreds and hundreds of books. So what's another 20?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's nice because you get to actually interact with the people who ask for the book. They email you directly, and you get to have a little exchange with them, and it's a lot more personal. And I really liked it a lot. They have free and paid options, and when I have more budget, I definitely am going to.
What do you mean? They have
stuff
free and paid options?
Well, the thing I just described is a free thing that you can do. You just sign up, you put in your book is approved, then you can do it.
Cool. VoraciousReadersOnly.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably not explaining it real well.
That's okay. I'll check it out.
But if you check out their site, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Excellent.
I think highly of them. So.
Okay. Welcome to the middle of the podcast. You are listening to Zbooks.co Successful Authors Podcast. Remember to get all of your materials to start your authoring career, especially for beginners, at Zbooks.co. Thank you for listening, my friends, and let's get back to that podcast. Okay, that's a great tip.
Really
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I have a similar one. It's called Kindle Book Review. They're one of those promotion sites too, where you pay and then they send the book to a big blast like BookBub. And they also have a list of reviewers. I haven't tried it yet, but I do know that their back to school special promotion is really good, and I always do that. And sometimes they will also give you the email list of the people that joined the contest. So you've got a list from 2,000 to 5,000 people, and you're allowed to email them.
That's nice.
Yeah, you're allowed to email them. It's part of the contest, but you have to be discreet, and you have to follow the rules, of course. You can't spam them like crazy, Of
course.
And but they have a similar thing like you just described, where they have a list of reviewers too, where you can email them and send them your book. So I have not tried that yet, but I know Kindle Book Review works very well for the big genres like romance, thrillers, mystery, and those big ones.
Yeah, awesome. I'm taking notes there.
Yeah. Did you use any of my ZBooks material?
I have. Now, because I read that question, I thought, oh my gosh, I know I have, but then it's like, well, what, There was I remember not long ago, there was a template you did for the story grid, which I snatched up.
Ah, yeah.
Because that was totally awesome.
Oh, thank you.
But I'll tell you something, I have subscribed probably literally to hundreds of writing sites and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And most of them I have unsubscribed to, but I have never unsubscribed from your list because I don't know. There's something about you. It's like you're my little buddy cheering me on, or and you always have these little tidbits, and so it's like, yes, I have. I take your advice. I read your post and I go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me go check that out. And so, yes, but I'm sorry. I can't be more specific than that.
No, that's fine. That's excellent
terrible?
Feedback. Thank you very much. You're not
welcome.
The first one who's used the story grid template. And I think that's exactly what I started with was book templates, because when I started my blog or whatever, I started by solving my own problem. There wasn't all this material back then in 2014,
Exactly.
2015. So I made my own templates, and the cool thing was this: a couple of guys used them and they got number one. So I could, hey, my authors use my templates to hit number one. That's a while ago.
No.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is
thank
awesome.
you, though. That's great feedback. That helps me a lot because there's a lot of, what do you call it, opinions out there about how you should run a newsletter and what you should put in the newsletter. And some people were telling me, or I read it somewhere, oh, you should just put a link to your blog. And I'm like, no, I don't like that, because, and I've got direct compliments before from people that said, thanks for putting everything in the email. I don't want another link to somebody's blog,
Yeah, no, I like the personal approach. I mean, not everybody does, I guess, but, especially when you're doing so much on the internet, for me, I want to feel like there's some kind of way to connect with that person.
Right.
Instead of somebody who's just sort of another voice that's talking at me.
Yeah. Talking at you. That's very well said. Yeah.
Yeah, I never felt that way about you. And I think I subscribed to your list like years ago.
Oh, great. Well, thank you.
4 years ago. And you're one of the keepers. So.
man. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Stop when you're ahead, right? Always stop when you're ahead.
I guess.
Yeah. So you mentioned social platforms. What are yours of choice?
Essentially, I've concentrated mostly on Facebook. I do flirt with Twitter.
Okay.
But they changed it recently, and it confused me. And all of the friends I used to yuck it up with on Twitter seem to have gone to parts unknown, or I just have too many people in my feed and I can't find them. I'm not sure. And it's so noisy in there. It's just really not my style.
Yeah.
Facebook I like. I hooked up with several writing groups and several indie authors, and have sort of created a bit of a posse, group of friends, which it's nice to know you're not alone in the journey.
Yeah, the Facebook groups are great, huh? What? Sorry?
And my blog, which has has been my albatross for years.
What's your blog's name?
It was called Writer Chick, and that's the URL, but I just have it, Anita Rodgers Mystery Writer now.
Okay.
It started out as Writer Chick Talks. It was a big joke.
Yeah.
And then I kind of experienced some success, but it's kind of gone up and down. It's gone through a lot of iterations. I wanted to originally start it as, as a writer, but people weren't responding to that. So I started just doing jokey things and opinionated things and different stuff. So it's kind of eclectic, but now I'm trying to focus mostly on books and writing and, things relative to that and reading. But I have really been neglecting it because I've been working on this trilogy for the last 2 years, which is either going to make me rich, famous, and happy or drive me insane. I really don't know.
So this trilogy ties into your Coffee and Crime book?
No, this is a different. This is a different series. It's a different character. It's the Coffee and Crime books are very funny, and that's intentional. I worked for years and years and years in the restaurant industry. So the Coffee and Crime books are, about the food industry and waitressing and food and cooking and all these things that I know from personal experience. And there's a lot of humor, and intentionally so. I wrote this book to make people happy, to make them laugh, to, enjoy a little mystery while they were getting some good yucks and maybe brighten their day a little.
Okay, so that leads me to two technical questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the trilogy is now, it's serious. It's a little scary because it's my first real police procedural, and I'm nervous about that.
What is it? A police cathedral?
Police procedural. In other words, it's not like an amateur sleuth or somebody stumbling on a crime and then solving it, which is the basic formula for a cozy.
So how do you now? You're going because comedy and being funny is very, very hard. So how do you go now to this serious? No? Okay, so how do you be funny in a book without being, what do you call it, too colloquial?
Because, well, maybe I should send you one of my books and you could read it and I would tell you. My humor is not slapstick.
Yeah.
But the characters are just sort of naturally funny.
Okay.
They're a little acerbic and a little sarcastic. But yeah, they're funny. And, but it's never clownish. I never go for I try anyway, never to go for the sort of obvious clownish, dumb thing.
Okay.
It's just sort of, maybe it's more just the attitude of the characters themselves. It's how they view life. They view life with a touch of sarcasm and, a little tongue in cheek.
Well, I'm going to pick up your Coffee and Crime book right now. It's only $2.99, and that's less than a Starbucks coffee. So I'm gonna buy that from you. You're not allowed to give it to me. I'm going to buy that from you.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you.
I can't. What?
I'm sorry. I was going to jump in about the trilogy.
Yeah, no, but that's what I wanted to say. So, because you're moving from the funny book now, so why are you getting serious, or how are you getting serious in this trilogy? What's it about?
The trilogy is about, basically is about the pursuit of a serial killer. And the main character, Lottie Stark, is a small-town police chief in a fictional town in Central California, who starts finding dead girls dropped on the highway in her town. And the hook is that the MO matches almost exactly to the MO of a serial killer that she caught and killed while an FBI agent 3 years earlier. So basically, here's the question: how can a dead serial killer be killing girls again?
Well, don't give it away.
And that's the inciting incident, and that's the hook. It is serialized fiction, which a lot of readers get a little touchy about, meaning that the serial killer is not, the resolution is not until the third book. However, within each book, there is another crime that is committed and solved and resolved.
So you're really hitting the story grid, huh?
Yeah. So if we're going to go story grid, then book 1 is Act 1, book 2 is Act 2, and book 3 is Act 3 in terms of the pursuit of the serial killer. However, within each book, there isn't Act 1, 2, and 3 for the other crime that is being pursued, and of course, distracting them from solving the serial killer. I try to, there is humor in it. It's not, morose, and it's not a funeral fest or anything. But it's, it's not light and cheerful the way the Scotty Fitzgerald books are. It's not a cozy. It's, deals with some grisly crimes, women being murdered and not in a nice way, and a sick puppy who's doing it. So and
sounds like California.
Yeah. So, and she's a transplanted Texan in California. So, she wears her hat and her boots and talks like a Texan. And
so is there a name?
She's a little
for
bit
this?
of a fish out of water. Her name is Lottie Stark.
No, I mean the trilogy.
Oh, the trilogy, I'm calling it the Dead Dog Trilogy, and then the individual titles are, book 1 is Let Dead Dogs Lie, book 2 is Every Dog Has His Day, and book 3 is Dog in the Hunt.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have a cover yet?
Yes, I have covers for all of them. I think I sent you a graphic that has covers.
That's right. You sent me some mails, huh? Yeah. So are you, what are you calling, promoting them in any way, pre-sailing, whatever?
I started doing, the graphic I sent you is one of several that I've started posting, just teasing that it's coming. And it is actually generating a little bit of buzz. There are people who are actually saying to me, I can't wait until this is published. I really want to read it. So that's always encouraging. Yeah.
I have so many mails from you. I mean, I'm trying to find them, but
I know it was so crazy trying to figure out how we were going to talk to each other. Oh,
so how are you generating the buzz? These are people on your list already, or you're sending your cover on Facebook, or what are you doing?
Yeah, mostly on Facebook, a little bit on Twitter. I do have an email campaign strategize that I'm going to start shortly. And then we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. I have a little bit of free content for my subscribers. I actually, I probably should be embarrassed to admit this. I actually decided to narrate the first chapter of the first book and record it. And I will be sending that to my subscribers.
Nice.
If they want to hear it. And I even tried a Texas drawl. So if nothing else, it might be comic relief.
So do you have any audiobooks out there besides this one?
No, it's not an audiobook. It's just a chapter, the first chapter sample, that's all. I just thought it would be a fun thing for my subscribers to have and listen to if they wanted to. And then it might create some interest.
And where can we see your book cover? On your blog?
I have not done a reveal yet.
Okay.
On my blog. You can go to my Facebook page, my author page on Facebook.
Okay, I'll put your blog then in the links in this podcast episode,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So this trilogy, when do you think it's going to be done?
I have it slated for mid to late August. So very soon.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So I will I'll check out that. Yeah.
I'm hoping to have print and ebook versions ready, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But I also plan to, I'm a little bit on the fence about this, but I probably will do separate volumes. So for those who don't want to buy all three books, they can try the first book, which it'll be priced very inexpensively. So they can sample it and see if they want to read the rest of the trilogy. But I also think I'm going to do one that has all three novels in it as a box set.
Yes.
Probably.
I recommend that for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and have some options on that.
As a matter of fact, that's one of the number one tips when Brian Meeks in his Amazon book is if you have a box set, advertise that first, because then you have a bigger margin, for your ads. So
right.
Anyways, going off on a tangent as usual. So I forgot, are you pre-selling this book? Is there a way for people to order it now already?
No, I haven't got a pre-sale set up. I'm on the fence about that. I've read pro and cons on pre-selling. I don't have the kind of fan base, I don't think, that pre-selling is going to really give the book a boost. So I probably will just do a nice, well-rounded launch, I hope. I didn't really launch the other books. I really had no idea what I was doing, so I just kind of threw them out there and did a few emails and, ran around Facebook yelling about it for a while.
You ran around Facebook yelling about it, huh?
Would you read my book, please?
That sounds right. Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah. It's a little sad, actually, but
okay.
Gotta start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
So this one I'm trying to be a little more determined about, a little more, professional about, and, kind of tell people about it. I'm doing little blurbs in the graphics for the trilogy. so people get a bit of an idea of what the story is about.
Mm-hmm.
I have the covers done, and those are part of the graphics,
Mm-hmm.
and they look pretty good, I think.
I like that you have the cover, because a lot of authors, they write this book and they think of all of this stuff later, So, no, I think you should start with the cover, at least in the very early phase, so that you have something to talk about and something to create buzz about,
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think for me, which again was different from the first series, having those covers, there's something about it that anchors the story in your mind. I don't know why exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
But it maybe it makes it more real.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
I think
it
that
really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend, I made a cover for him really quick. He was just, he's still on the fence about writing the book. And once I made the cover, he was so motivated. And, well, he still hasn't written the book yet, but it really kicked him in the butt. So I think the cover is just a great way to start. Yeah.
I do too. I think it also sets a tone for you. And, color choices, font, all that stuff. I also had to teach myself how to do cover design. So I did my own covers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lucky in my genre. It's pretty easy. It's kind of easy. It's mostly graphic, I don't need any of these airbrushed masterpieces and stuff. But
well, mine aren't airbrushed masterpieces, but they turned out good. I, of course, had to do about 100 really ugly ones first.
Well, one of my tips is that you could go to that Facebook group, Pat Flynn's first Kindle book. And there's hundreds, at least probably thousands of people in there putting their covers in there, asking, for advice, kind of A/B testing their covers for free. And it's become totally okay to do that in that Facebook group. So I recommend that.
I've been A/B testing the covers for a year now.
Oh, really? Because I was going to ask you, in your Coffee and Crime book, there's kind of this dark shadow around it. And I was going to ask you about that, because it kind of bugs me, but that's just, I make my own covers, and it's just my personal opinion. It's like I would just turn up the contrast on that thing, and other people say, oh, that's too gaudy. So I don't know. Is there a reason for that shadowy thing?
Yeah, I did. It was intentional.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's a cozy, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe there should be a sub-genre for cozy. Because, a lot of cozies are very, I don't want to insult anybody, but they're very, very light. They're very, not cartoony, but, extremely light. Yeah. And my stories aren't, even though there's a lot of humor and stuff, I try to keep it real.
Okay.
And these characters all have real problems, and they're flawed. They're not like Jessica Fletcher,
right,
having a crumpet with a friend and then saying, "Oh my, why is there a dead body in the garden?"
Yeah. Yeah, because I really like your cover.
I kind of wanted to give a little bit that was intentional. That darkness was kind of a little bit of a clue, like, yes, they're cozy, yes, they're fun, yes, there's a lot of laughs in there, but there's also just a little bit of darkness in there.
Yeah, I like it.
Was why.
Because you hit all of the bases. You've got it to where, you've got the title so big that you could recognize it right away when it's in a small thumbnail. And I like your use of color and everything. I really like your cover.
Thank you.
I was just wondering why.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice. I would just like to see more of it. That's why that little shadow just kind of, but again, that's, like I said, you hit all of the bases on your cover. I was just wondering about the shadow. That's all. So, cool. Okay, so, I guess that you answered my question. What's next for you? So, so we
talked about reviews. What's next?
What is your advice for beginning authors?
I would say write and read, 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 and then write and read some more. I would also say craft. Find someone who writes about the craft of writing that speaks to you. And that's going to be a different person for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think there's one definitive person where it's like, this is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true in any other avenue of life, and I don't see why it would have to be in writing. But, you know, writing a lot will make you better. It'll
Right.
just make you better at writing. Reading a lot will show you what's good writing, what's bad writing, what's marginal writing. You know, you need to expose yourself to all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then find, 2, 3, 1, just anybody who writes about craft that really speaks to you. It doesn't have to be a book. It could be their blog, you know, like Janice Hardy at Fiction University. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially for newbie writers who are trying to get their feet wet and understand the basics. The posts are very clear and informative, very helpful. And our Allen is awesome. She's wonderful.
What were those two names?
The first lady is Janice Hardy, like the Hardy Boys.
Okay, yeah.
And her blog is called Fiction University. She also has some books out.
Okay.
And the other is Ann R., like Rudy Tooty. Allen, like George Allen.
Okay.
I'm sorry, George Allen. Who the heck is George Allen? Anyway, and she's awesome. She writes cozies, but she also gives some very crackerjack advice on the writing industry, writing technique, a lot of things. She's a lot of fun to read.
Cool.
And,
do you emulate any authors?
Do I emulate any? I don't know. Hemingway was always a favorite of mine growing up. My style is not superfluous. It's not flowery. It's somewhat pithy, I guess. In a word, it's pretty direct. You know pretty much what's going on there.
Yeah.
Anyway, in terms of advice for writers, that would be the thing. I think just write a lot, read a lot, and find somebody whose advice that speaks to you. That makes sense to you.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, one last question. If you could meet any person from the past or present or future, who would it be?
Yeah, you know what? Did I make a note on that? Because I read that question, I was like, oh, God. Who is that? Let me see. We're going a little cheat sheet here. I don't know. I mean, maybe Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand, yeah. She was hardcore.
She was very hardcore and quite the eccentric character. And she wrote one of my all-time favorite books, Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, yeah.
I would probably want to just sit down with her, and you can love Atlas Shrugged or hate it. Some people do. But she spent 7 years writing that book.
Yeah.
And I would love to sit down with that woman and just pick her brain about,
I love her story, too.
Years. What did you go through? What, I would love to just sort of know the war story of writing that book and what the sacrifices and what it took out of her,
Yeah, she has some war stories.
I find that really fascinating. Yeah, she really does.
Yeah.
And she came originally, I think, from Russia.
Yep.
And experienced some very, very horrible times as a young woman.
Yeah,
So
she's one of my favorite authors too. So,
Yeah.
I heard she was she was a Russian Jew, and she was one of the last women to go to the academy in Moscow or something. There was something about admitting women to the university, and so she's got an incredible story. And
Yeah,
I would love to
she
pick
really
her brain
has.
too. Yeah, you're right.
Would you imagine having high tea with that woman? That would be amazing.
Yeah, and then she went later on the talk shows with like Phil Donahue, and he came with such novice questions, and she tore him apart.
I know, and that is the other thing I liked about her. I mean, she was she was kind of like the Russian version of Katharine Hepburn. I like women that are
and
strong
the thing
and
is,
know who they are.
Yeah, but she was like granite. You couldn't touch her. Her arguments were sound. Valid and sound, so that's why people hated her too, and they still hate her. I go to Quora a lot, and it's crazy.
That really always bowls me over. One of my favorite writers hated her.
Yeah, so she's doing something right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh well, that's that's another big philosophical topic there. Why do people hate Ayn Rand? It's a big filter on life.
Maybe they don't have enough going on in their life.
Yep. You got it. It's reflection of the reader, right?
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, I know. I know she wrote her characters. I mean, she has such wonderful character development. You either love or hate her characters. And it tells you about the reader. It's pretty awesome. So.
She nailed certain personalities. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She just nailed them. I mean,
that's
but now, it. Nobody could touch her on that.
Yeah. But if me and you are Ayn Rand fans, we are officially selfish people in the eyes of the anti-Randians.
Well. To each his own.
Yeah, exactly. Oh wow, I could go on a deep end with you with Ayn Rand. Okay.
You definitely could. I think we could probably have a few hours on that topic alone.
Okay, so let's sum it up then.
It's quite the book.
All right. Yeah, let's sum it up with your book. Your new upcoming trilogy is what and when?
The Dead Dog Trilogy is slated for publication mid to late August. So on Amazon, I will probably go exclusive to Amazon the first 3 months, and then I'll go wide.
Okay. That's a topic in itself, huh?
Yeah.
Have you had success with going wide?
I haven't tried it yet. I kind of, talking about mistakes that I made. I've been just a mealy little mouse and stuck to my little Amazon world, but I'm ready to venture out into the world and see what else there is to find out.
That's great. So it's the Dead Dog Trilogy coming out in August.
That is it. August 2018. Yeah, baby.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Anne. Thank you so much.
You too.
We're going to have to do a follow-up as usual because, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this talk. I was so nervous, but you just make people feel so at ease.
Oh, thank you. Well, there's no reason to be nervous.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and you're welcome. Great. Okay, everybody. Yeah. Well, everybody go out there and go to Anne's blog and website, and in August, the Dead Dog Trilogy, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks again, Anne.
Thank you.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to hit the stop recording button. Okay, my friends, if you like that podcast, then remember to go to zbooks.co and go get all the materials to start your authoring career. We have a 7-day challenge every week, so there's no excuse to not finish your book. And remember, please go to iTunes and upvote this podcast and Google Play. Okay, I look forward to seeing you at the top.